You're watching CBS 13 News, live at 5:30.
A new report is warning of big increases in data breaches affecting tens of millions of Americans. As CBS 13's Anna Werner reports, the Identity Theft Resource Center counted nearly 1,500 breaches of U.S. private and government organizations in 2019.
I got a letter in the mail from Barclays Bank, and the letter said that my line of credit application was denied.
Jaspreet Singh says he hadn't filed for that line of credit or the parade of false loan applications that followed as crooks using his personal information tried over and over to run their scams in 2018 and 19, finally charging his business MasterCard for $4,500.
This $4,500 worth of charges were from somebody in Texas who were using my business credit card to run Facebook ads for their business.
Singh says his private information was exposed with millions of others in the 2017 Equifax hack, and odds are more people will face similar problems. In its 2019 end-of-year data breach report, the Identity Theft Resource Center says the number of data breaches went up 17%. The group says one significant new threat that emerged: consumers' or companies' data being exposed through databases left unsecured. They say a number of large organizations simply failed to add a password to protect their cloud-based data. It's not known if that data was then stolen. Another trend that's exploded in the past year, they say, something called credential stuffing, where hackers buy someone's stolen login and password from the dark web, then see if that same combo gets them into other online accounts. The center's COO, James Lee.
The reason it's so easy is because so many of us use the same password for multiple accounts.
The report says noteworthy credential stuffing attacks in 2019 included Intuit, Boost Mobile, Dunkin', and the streaming service Disney+. Singh says his credit card company did finally reimburse his card for the $4,500 in fraudulent charges. He also had to put a freeze on his credit with all three credit bureaus and flag the problem to all of his banks. Anna Werner, CBS News, New York.
Now, CBS 13 News is on your side at 6.
We begin with a health alert right now at 6. The new form of coronavirus is spreading and the death toll is rising.
Locally, health officials are making sure to prepare if it reaches Maine. And now the CDC is warning Americans to avoid all non-essential travel to China.
This is a major issue, major public health issue, and we basically just need the best public health people we have in the world working on this right now.
New numbers released tonight show 106 people have died in China, with the number of sick doubling to 4,500 in just one day.
Now, wearing full protective gear, authorities on the border of China's Hubei province are manning checkpoints after an ID and temperature check. Anybody with a fever is told to go to a hospital immediately. So far, the United States is dealing with just 5 confirmed cases.
The American public should not be fearful about this, but you really need to take it very seriously, because as things evolve, our recommendations and our policy will change to be in accordance with what the evidence is.
Health officials say they have developed a rapid test for diagnosing patients, and they're working to develop a vaccine. They don't have it yet, but they're working on it. And here in Maine, hospitals are already taking steps to try to stop the spread of this virus if it were to reach our state. CBS 13's Brad Rogers sat down with Maine's former CDC director to learn more about this fast-moving virus.
Right now, the Maine CDC is in regular contact with hospitals and other medical providers, but at this point, the CDC says there are no confirmed or suspected cases of the Wuhan coronavirus in Maine.
This new coronavirus, it appears it maybe came from bats.
Dr. Dora Ann Mills says coronaviruses are common in animals but can spread to people. She's Maine Health's Chief Health Improvement Officer and a former Maine CDC director during the SARS coronavirus outbreak, which spread around the world and quickly died out. Dr. Mills hopes that will be the case with this new Wuhan coronavirus, but admits it's too early to tell.
The one thing that's very predictable about these types of pandemics is they're very unpredictable.
Maine Health has added China to its list of countries it screens for, and Dr. Mills says so far, no one is showing any symptoms of the lung infection.
But we've had a number of phone calls and people wondering, gee, they just came back from China, or somebody they know has returned from China.
Dr. Mills says a surprising number of Mainers travel back and forth to China, but with the disease spreading by respiratory droplets from coughing and sneezing, she's advising against travel to China.
It could be up to 2 weeks after they've been exposed until they get sick. So we are asking people if they have been traveling, especially to China, and they come down with the symptoms of a fever and a cough, that they call their provider right away.
There is no cure for the Wuhan coronavirus, but most patients are recovering.
That even though the death toll has gone up, it does appear that the majority, if not the vast majority of people who contract this infection do fully recover.
The Maine CDC says right now work is being done to try to create a vaccine for the Wuhan coronavirus. The state epidemiologist is also in regular contact with public health officials in New Hampshire about the cases there. In Portland, Brad Rogers, CBS 13 News.
And as Dr. Mills mentioned, when it comes to coronavirus, there are some telltale symptoms that doctors want you to look out for, including runny nose, headache, cough, sore throat, and fever, including shortness of breath, too. It's that shortness of breath that really should be a red flag. Now, if you do believe you have symptoms, the first thing you should do is contact your doctor. If your doctor believes that you should visit the hospital, make sure you call ahead so doctors there can prepare and put you into isolation there right away. Now, doctors say symptoms can mimic influenza, and they do emphasize that the flu is still widespread and still more deadly than coronaviruses.
Just into our newsroom in the last 10 minutes, a new interview with Senator Susan Collins you'll only see here on CBS 13. In that interview with CBS News, she says she is likely to vote yes in favor of having witnesses at the impeachment trial.
I'm pleased that every senator will have the opportunity to vote on whether or not additional witnesses and documents are necessary. It is very likely that I'm going to conclude that, yes, we do need to hear from witnesses.
That vote is expected on Friday. Senators Lisa Murkowski and Mitt Romney have also said they're leaning in favor of witnesses, but they will need a fourth Republican senator to make that happen. At this point, that still looks unlikely. Let's turn to your forecast now. A live look from our Portland Skycam. It's a cool night across the area, and some spots will see temperatures drop into the teens. Let's check with Charlie on where those temperatures will drop the most, Charlie.
Yeah, well, it looks like most areas will be in the teens, near 20 at the coastline, likely mid-teens over the interior. Tomorrow night, I think there will be some spots in the single numbers. The clouds had a hard time breaking up this afternoon. We still have mainly cloudy skies, but there are some holes in the overcast, and we will go at least partly cloudy late tonight. Hey, check this out. That right there is Mount Washington, and notice how the mountain and the presidential range in general sort of parted the clouds this afternoon. So Mount Washington did its job trying to get Maine that little sliver of sun during the afternoon. That was the visible satellite picture during the afternoon hours today. Pretty interesting to see that. All right, temps will be in the mid to upper teens at the coastline, closer to 20 at the coast, a lot of inland towns. I think you're probably going to be in the low to mid teens, some areas in the mountains right around 10 degrees. Tomorrow looks to be a great day. We'll have sunny skies from beginning to end. Air temps tomorrow look seasonable. Highs will be in the low to mid 30s. We'll talk about how long we'll hold on to the sunshine. We'll take a look at the latest track on that weekend storm. I'll see you in a few minutes. Greg, back to you.
The I-Team is on your side as Central Maine Power customers are taking their fight to court. They've now filed a new lawsuit over winter disconnect notices. John Chrysos was at the courthouse this morning as lawyers brought that case to court. John.
Greg, lawyers allege CMP deceived customers with false and misleading disconnect notices like this one right here. CMP is allowed to shut off service during the winter, but the company has to get the okay from state regulators. The lawsuit says customers were never told that when CMP threatened to disconnect their power unless they paid past due bills. The case was filed on behalf of 3 customers who got the notices, but the lawsuit says at least 1,000 customers likely received them. Lawyers say customers felt extreme pressure to make payments based on misleading statements from CMP. One of the customers told us she didn't get her bills for 2 years, but was also getting disconnect notices.
Very upsetting. I was very upset. I was mad and had a lot of stress and anxiety because I didn't know if my power was going to stay on, and I don't have that kind of money to pay all at one shot.
CMP says it hasn't yet received a copy of that lawsuit, but a spokesperson told us it is very concerning that collections communications to customers may have gone out with language that was confusing and misleading. The company says it has started an internal investigation and is cooperating as state regulators also investigate, and will continue to follow this one in the days and weeks ahead as it makes its way through the courts.
All right, John, appreciate it. Now to an I-Team update. Some lawmakers are pushing to change Maine law after an I-Team report last fall. We exposed Spectrum's new billing policy, which says that customers won't get a refund if they cancel service before the end of a billing cycle. Now, Representative Seth Berry and his co-sponsors presented proposed legislation today during a public hearing. They say Spectrum's new policy is unfair and the customers should not be paying for something they don't get. Spectrum says it's a common approach to billing for monthly subscription service.
Happening tonight, your chance to weigh in on the future of the Portland waterfront. A developer wants to create a new commercial and residential neighborhood right by the ocean. CBS 13's David Singer is joining us near 4th Street. And David, what's the city asking the public to weigh in on?
Well, Jen, they're hoping to hear from residents over here on the East End and anywhere in Portland on how the addition of restaurant, retail, office, and residential spaces would affect traffic and parking over here on the East End. What's at stake? What's it before the planning board tonight is this 10-acre parcel here behind me. This is the site of the Portland Company Railroad Complex. Some of it has already been torn down to make way for the planned project. The developers, the Portland Foreside Development Company, want to make this area a new community hub for business, and here's some of what they'll be discussing before the planning board. They want to put in a 5-story garage with more than 700 parking spaces, also including 14 housing units, as well as space for retail, restaurant, and offices. Now, we've been talking to walkers and joggers along the trail path here. One of them told us that she hopes the city and developer preserve this walking path.
It's one of the things I really love about the city, especially since I work from home. It's a great way to get out, get some fresh air with the dog, even in the middle of cold January. So I'm sure this is a very bustling walkway in the summer, and making sure that that's maintained all year round, I think is important.
This is a first phase approval process. The planning board meeting gets underway at City Hall at 7 o'clock. We'll be there and we'll have updates later at 10 and 11. For now, we're live in Portland. David Singer, CBS 13 News.
There will soon be a new commemorative coin to honor former President George H.W. Bush and First Lady Barbara Bush. President Trump signed the George H.W. Bush and Barbara Bush Coin Act, which authorizes the immediate issuance of the $1 coins. Texas Senator John Cornyn says the lives of George and Barbara were characterized by love of country and service for others. He adds each coin will preserve their legacy and inspire us all to serve others in their memories. Ahead at 6, a search for snow. The SEP's Winter Carnival organizers are taking right now, trying to make sure our recent lack of snow won't stop this week's festivities.
Plus, better broadband in small Maine towns, the plan to expand, and how and why it could mean bringing new business to hard-hit areas.
You're watching CBS 13 News at 6.
The body of a woman whose husband reported her missing after she didn't return from running errands is found in Brownfield. The Oxford County Sheriff's Office says they discovered the victim, 52-year-old Elizabeth Dempsey, in her vehicle that landed on its roof in the Payne Brook off of Center Conway Road in Brownfield. The vehicle was partially submerged in the water. Deputies were traveling that road that Dempsey usually drove when they found the crash scene. They believe the vehicle lost control on black ice and hit a rock before rolling onto the roof in the water.
34 years ago today, the country watched in horror as a New Hampshire teacher was among the 7 killed in the Challenger disaster.
1 minute 15 seconds. Velocity 2,900 feet per second. Altitude 9 nautical miles. Downrange distance 7 nautical miles. Flight controllers here looking very carefully at the situation. Obviously a major malfunction.
The scene played out in front of millions of Americans as the space shuttle launch was broadcast live throughout the country, including in a lot of schools. I remember watching it live in my high school. New Hampshire's Krista McAuliffe here. A teacher was aboard the first civilian ever chosen for a space mission. Our viewers are remembering that devastating day as well on Facebook right now. Dwayne writes this. It's one of those days I'll never forget. We were watching the launch in class. And Charlotte says, I remember it so clearly. At work, we all just froze in front of the TV. You can join the conversation right now. Just head to our page on Facebook.
Still ahead next at 6, boosting broadband. Why one brewery says better internet access could bring more business.
We're tracking a cool down in the coming days, but at least we'll have some sunshine. How long the sun is going to last and the latest on the track of that weekend storm, that's coming up next. All right, so I'll move this. Yada, 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 and temperatures cooling off tonight. Those temps are still not too bad, though. Most towns are looking at temps in the 30s, and tomorrow is one of those days we'll have unlimited sunshine. If you forget your sunglasses, you will regret it. And then, all right.
You will rue the day.
Yes.
Watching CBS 13 News at 6.
Some women say they've been under anesthesia and woken up to find themselves undergoing an unexpected pelvic exam. Now some in Maine are trying to make this illegal. Representative Vicky Duderis, her bill would outlaw doctors from doing pelvic examinations on patients who are under anesthesia or unconscious without their consent. 10 other states across the country already have this law in place, including in Massachusetts. There are several proponents of the bill, including the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault.
It's really critical for them to feel like they can control their own bodies. And so we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to make that choice.
We need to know that when we go into a hospital and we're anesthetized, that we can trust what's happening to our bodies.
Maine Medical Center says it will not be taking a position on the bill.
A new bill in Augusta would expand broadband expansion and funding for that into rural and underserved communities. This would include communities like Norway, where some business owners there tell us that internet connections really are just too slow. The bill would appropriate $15 million from the general fund to give it to Connect Maine, the state's broadband expansion organization, which helps pay for rural communities to get better internet. Some business owners tell us this is really a great idea in their opinion, since it would help rural Maine to grow.
The more high-speed broadband access to smaller communities, the more that we can spread that out to all of the areas of Maine and not just concentrate it, say, along the seacoast.
Now, this bill just had its first reading today. There'll be another reading before it's voted on by a legislative committee. We'll continue to track this for you.
Now, your CBS 13 Weather Authority forecast with Chief Meteorologist Charlie Lopresti.
It's a pretty quiet stretch of weather. Today we had a lot of clouds out there. Some areas had a little bit of sun this morning, but the clouds did win out by afternoon. You might have noticed temperatures are a little bit cooler than where they've been. Current temps, they're running in the 20s and low 30s. Portland's at 34 degrees, Lewis and Auburn 31. There are some spots in the mountains slipping into the 20s. Now these clouds are going to break up overnight, and tomorrow we will have unlimited sunshine. If you forget your sunglasses tomorrow, you will know it. You'll need the sunglasses for both tomorrow and again on Thursday. So a nice stretch of weather is heading our way and a well-deserved sunny stretch. Let's take a look at that satellite radar. We have some clouds slowly breaking up out there. These clouds have been kind of lingering at around 4,000 or 5,000 feet throughout the day. As we go through tonight, again, skies will clear out. Look for a sunny day on your Wednesday. Let's widen things out on our satellite radar and notice there are some clouds off to our west as well. There's not a whole lot going on throughout the entire east coast of the United States. There is, however, a storm getting organized down into Arkansas, Louisiana. This one is going to scoot off to our south. This is not the storm system that will be coming close to our region over the weekend. The second one is going to be developing down in the Gulf of Mexico, and that's going to be surging up the eastern seaboard. And I'll tell you, all the ingredients are there for a storm to come together, and a big storm is going to come together. But it looks as if it's probably just too far off to our east to bring us a significant impact here. It still needs to be monitored, but right now I think it's it's probably going to miss us off to the east. There's a little batch of energy working its way out of the Great Lakes, and what's going to happen is this guy is going to miss the ride. If these two were to get together at the right time with a big digging trough, sometimes we can get that with our big East Coast storms, that would form into a sizable storm. And this will probably still form into a sizable storm just too far to our east, though. So areas like Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, these areas will get another big storm. While here in Maine, going into Super Bowl weekend and Groundhog Day weekend, we are just looking at a lot of clouds with a chance for some snow showers. And again, any shift in track, that thing tracks 50, 100 miles west, an entirely different scenario, but still is worth watching here. Air temps are running the 20s early tomorrow by afternoon. I think we're in the 30s for highs. Tomorrow we will have unlimited sun, not a cloud in the sky. In fact, I think we're going to go 2 days in a row without seeing any clouds outside of the mountains. Mountains, you might get a few clouds, but that's it. And then as we go into Thursday, those temps in the low 30s. Which is normal. That's about where we should be this time of year. Heading into late January, early February, normal high is about freezing, and we'll be in that ballpark in the coming days here. All right, let's take a look at your 7-day forecasts. There we go. With some sunshine tomorrow, and again on Thursday, partly sunny Friday. More clouds return on Saturday. That's your inland forecast. I want to show you the coastal forecast first. I'm having some trouble with the graphics there. There we go. I want to show you the coastal forecast first, just to show you. Notice the lows are not quite as cold as inland areas. I think low teens will be common. 30s for highs when you're 40 on Friday. And again, we're watching that storm over the weekend. Now to your inland forecast, you're colder for nighttime lows, likely some single digits in the coming days. And again, there still is a chance for some snow showers, even with that storm passing off to our east this weekend. That's the Check You forecast. Greg, back to you.
All right, Charlie, and a reminder you can stay up to date on the forecast anytime, right there in the palm of your hand with live radar, forecast outlook, and much more. Just look for our WGME weather app. Search for WGME WX in your app store.
Happening right now, organizers are trucking in snow because it's been too warm for Portland's Winterfest celebration. Carnival Maine begins in just a couple of days, and Portland's recent warm weather is creating a real problem. Today, organizers brought that snow in order to create a course for the competitive skiers and snowboarders.
This is real snow. It just came from, I think, a parking lot. So it's real snow, probably better than actually snow blowing.
When finished, the course will be about 3,000 feet. The competitions start on Friday with the chance to qualify for the national championships in Colorado.
Hey, sports coming up next. The breaking news involving the Patriots, plus the advice that Rob Gronkowski has for his former quarterback, Tom Brady.
Plus another former Patriot, Jimmy Garoppolo, is getting ready for his first ever Super Bowl start. Why his experience in New England should help him on Sunday. Sports is next.
Coming up, pressure builds to call a key witness to testify in President Trump's impeachment trial. Plus, what happened in the moments before the tragic Kobe Bryant helicopter crash. And a kindergarten kid's kindness means free lunch for all. Coming up on the CBS Evening News with Nora O'Donnell.
Now, the Porthole Restaurant Sports Report on CBS 13.
Good evening, everyone. Some breaking Patriots news. Longtime offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia is officially retiring from football. Scarnecchia has spent the majority of his long professional career coaching with the Patriots, which started back in 1982 under Ron Meyer. Scarnecchia helped many of the Pats' young linemen become future stars in the NFL. His impact with the team will certainly be missed. Meanwhile, the jury is still out on the future of Patriots quarterback Tom Brady. Brady, who can become a free agent after March 18th, can still negotiate a new deal with the Pats prior to the 18th. Brady's future has become a hot topic down at the Super Bowl. One guy who knows Tom pretty well is his former tight end Rob Gronkowski, who's not sure where Tom will wind up, but he does have some advice for TB12.
He definitely deserves an opportunity to go out there and test the market. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, you've never done it before in your career, and he's going to be a free agent for the first time ever, so good for him. Go test out the market and then do what's best for himself.
The Kansas City Chiefs and San Francisco 49ers will square off in Super Bowl 54 this Sunday night down in Miami. The big game, by the way, can be seen over on our sister station, Fox 23. Kickoff is set for 6:30. The game will feature two of the NFL's top young quarterbacks, and Patrick Mahomes of Kansas City, and the 49ers' Jimmy Garoppolo, who Patriot fans know pretty well. Garoppolo, who was drafted by the Pats in 2014 and then traded to San Francisco 3 years later, will be making his first Super Bowl start, but not his first Super Bowl appearance. Garoppolo was on the sidelines for 2 of the Pats' miracle comeback wins, the one against Seattle in Super Bowl 49 and, of course, Super Bowl 51 against Atlanta.
Just, having experienced the whole week and everything that comes with it, it was unbelievable. And then the way we won it with Malcolm Butler's interception, it was pretty crazy. You just got to use any little bit of advantage you can and try to make it count.
I'm sure even though he didn't play in those games, it
So
really helped him
exciting, yeah.
because you kind of get used to all the media. Every day there's obligations and appearances and this sort of, and then, oh, by the way, there's a game to play.
Big
too.
one at that.
So I think that will help Jimmy as far as preparing. Whereas Patrick Mahomes, this will be his first one.
Right. Oh, I'm excited.
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch that video of the Butler interception.
Oh, sure.
I remember that we had a big snowstorm after that game.
We did.
Remember that the next day? Kids had the day off from school. I don't think that's going to happen this Super Bowl Sunday, but we'll get close. A storm will come pretty close to us over the weekend. Still bears watching. Right now, I think it's in your mix.
Okay. We'll keep tracking it. Thank you so much for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next.
And see you afterwards at 7.